24th day of the month of May 2018, Anno Domini. How's been your day? It's a Thursday, slightly sunny, but of course, calm in some places, like on the stadium here. Welcome to the program, The Stadium, or Human Rights Radio, 101.1 FM, redefining broadcasting. The Stadium is a program that brings you the very best in the world of sports. Of course, most especially we look at sports from the perspective of rights of persons and from what people should do, what they ought to do, what they did wrong, and what they are doing right or wrong in every aspect at all of our presentation. Tonight we have a lot on our plate for you as well, to give you ranging from football to Formula One to the NFL. There are a lot of stories that you need to hear, trending stories, shocking things. Of course, there are some scandals. Sometimes we report scandals not to scare you, but to serve as a deterrent, as a warning to people who might step into the same shoes so that they can avoid that and save their images, the images of their companies, their organizations, their teams, their clubs, and of course, maybe their countries as well. My name is Ted. I don't do this alone, as you know. As usual, I have your usual suspect here. You can guess who he is, When I say that, Buchi is in the building. Buchi, has been your evening?
My day's been fantastic, Ted.
Yeah, today it's been a little bit warm out there, unlike a couple of days back when we had some rains. But today has been warm. And it's going to be warmer in France, in Monaco actually, rather, as the Monaco Grand Prix returns this weekend.
Yes.
Of course, we're looking forward to that. Some drivers have been outstanding from the beginning of the season till now, but the story is taking another dimension, something we spoke about on this program some months ago, about the whole new ideas. The Eccleston era is gone, and Liberty Media taking over the management of Formula One, introducing a whole lot of things into Formula One. And now, the big drivers have come out to say, we didn't actually ask you to take off grid girls. It's like they really did enjoy the company of those ladies.
Visual appeal.
Visual appeal. And they loved it. But especially Lewis Hamilton has come out to say nobody forced the models to come out and, of course, be a part of the sport. If you say that, then you also talk about cheerleaders in sports like basketball, baseball. Football, it's all the same thing. Yes, and all that. But I think both sides have to tread carefully on this because of what we are experiencing other sports across a lot of sports scandals relating to abuse of female athletes and people who offer support, either actively on the circuit, on the court, or in the ring. Of course, boxing has that too. You don't have the ring guests. When the announcer has made an announcement, they are the ones that really do usher in the athletes, and then in between the rounds, they come out to display which round is up next. So we'd have this cut across. But what do you think made Liberty Media to do this, or are they just trying to arriving and changing everything Eccleston did in his era of all those years that he was in charge of Formula One?
I don't think it's a direct attack on Eccleston and what he did for Formula One. Nobody can take away that history that he brought to this sport, and of course, even what it is, the prestige that it has today. It does have to do a lot with him. But I think what Liberty Media is actually doing, they're trying to be woke. The woke movement. They're trying to be more gender sensitive, and I think they're coming from
proactive as well.
Proactive, gender sensitive. I think they also try to look at that aspect where these women are objectified. They're just seen as glorified placeholders, in their nice bikinis standing next to the cars. I think they tried to just change the aspect or change the way women are perceived, especially in the sport, and to be more gender balanced and forward thinking. I also think they're trying to avoid any kind of scandals. I mean, in recent times we've had scandals,
across a lot of sports,
from gymnastics to even Hollywood and things like that. And I think they try to just step in front of the bullet right now. I mean, in Formula One, we haven't had any kind of sexual scandal in that regard. But I think they're trying to just cover all their bases. Now, on the other hand, we have to also look at the argument that Hamilton and some of the top drivers and some pundits and critics within the Formula One world have brought up. The grid girls have been, it's a job. These are models.
Yes, they're paid. They're paid for that.
They're paid for it. This is a job. It may seem demeaning, but these girls, I mean, they're not complaining. Some of them actually do enjoy the work,
and they
actually do enjoy the work. They lobby for it. They want to be seen.
That is one of Hamilton's points, that nobody actually forced them in. Not any driver, not any team management, not even the Ecclesia era.
Exactly.
He himself did not do that because there was need for that beauty. And it goes on to say that women are the most beautiful thing in the world, according to Hamilton.
Yes.
Monaco is a very elegant Grand Prix, and when we pull up to the grid and there are beautiful women on the grid, that's the Monaco Grand Prix, and that's a lovely thing.
I think Ted, I think there's one thing you said that was actually very right. I think both sides, I think we need to tread very, very carefully, and I think we can reach some sort of middle ground, especially when it comes to the presence of grid girls, no grid girls. I think
they're trying to do that by the Monaco Grand Prix that we are going to introduce. They're going to have guys and the girls.
Yes, men and female that could be one option, or you could even make it an option with each track, with each race track. Maybe it'll be at the discretion of the
driver and the team.
I think the country. Let's say the racetrack. If let's say they're racing in Singapore, if Singapore decide they want to have grid girls, I think we can grant them that. If Monaco decide they don't want, fine. If Mexico decides, you know what, we want men and women.
Mexico will go for women.
Exactly. Kind of like give that option. So it then gives each Grand Prix something to look forward to. I mean, we all look forward to Dubai, the end of the season, Dubai, with the spectacle that is Abu Dhabi. Now, I think that could be a solution, but I think kudos must be given to Liberty Media for trying, making concrete efforts.
I think that was really thinking ahead.
Yes,
and not sitting down to be hit by something you don't expect that in Formula 1 too. We're having this, and of course, some of these drivers are quite young. Some of them actually come there with their spouses.
Yes.
They're right there. They get to the podium sometimes to celebrate to them and around the circuit. So it's something that is quite sensitive. They have been around, not just that they've not been in charge of Formula 1, but I guess they must have seen something over the years that they felt if we actually take over, let's relax this for a while, and then with time they'll see the reaction. All right, from there to the NFL. Yes, we spoke about this as well, but this is a development that we need to bring back. Donald Trump and Copernicus. Anyway, not just between two of them. Don't get it wrong. The NFL in the U.S. and the United States government and the club owners of the NFL. Now they have come out to say, of course, people remember when a black player there, Colin Kaepernick, decided to kneel during the U.S. national anthem as a protest, what they titled Black Lives Matter. And then all the injustices going on there, not just for blacks, but other races as well. That was the intention, even though some people took it out of context. Now the club owners backed the players, and the movement got so long that it even went out over to Europe there, because in Germany some teams also participated in that, kneeling to support their other athletes in the US. At the moment, the club owners have come out to say every player must stand in honor of the United States anthem and the flag. And if you don't want to stand, you wouldn't be allowed to kneel on the pitch. The solution to that is stay in the dugout. When the national anthem has been completed, you can walk out and file yourself to the pitch for the game. But while the anthem is going on, it is not within your rights to stand. This is not, they're not talking about privilege. They say it is mandatory. The players have come out to hit back at the club owners that they were not included in the decision-making, that they are imposing this law on them now, and yet the same things they were crying about are still happening, not just in the NFL, but in other sports and even in the movie world as well. So many places that they feel there are injustices that should be addressed, and they have not been addressed. This is taking us back to square one, Pucci. I think so. It's like going 10 steps ahead, and then we're going back to where all this started, because the tweets that are coming from the NFL players, big-time players today, they're showing that they're not ready to budge.
I mean, of course, I think there's a lot of pressure on owners, on the owners to try and find some sort of resolution to this ongoing. Will I call it a crisis, or just?
It is. It's big crisis.
Let's just call it an ongoing misunderstanding. Okay. Now, on one hand, you have infringement on the player's rights.
Yes.
A right, as in not just as a player, but as a human being. The right for
citizens.
Freedom for free expression, especially in a country like America, the land of the free.
Yes.
And, you know, freedom of self-expression. Now, at what point do you try to enforce a law that isn't infringing on the First Amendment, of course, freedom of speech, the freedom of rights of the citizen?
Yes.
And also you then have the counterbalance where you have not just the federal government, not just the Republicans, not just Trump, not just patriots, let's just say ordinary day Americans who also expressing their own rights to their own freedom of thought, feel that these players standing or kneeling during the national anthem is a disrespect, is disrespecting, is unpatriotic. Now, I think what they, in this sense, they're trying to find that balance. And this right now seems, in their eyes, is the best solution they can come up with. But I think I have to stand with the players in the sense that if you're going to come to something like this, you should have at least invited the players too. The players should also have an opinion because they form a big part of. You can't have a game without the players. These are the people, the big money. You pay the big money to. They attract the fans. Now, the subject matter, of course, I think it was shifted. It started off as a protest for Black Lives Matter, and now somehow,
and the NFL accounts for the highest number of blacks
in the sport. And now somehow, some way, it's now down to you not standing up to
disrespect
is unpatriotic. It's disrespect to the military, to men and women of the military who are serving the nation. Now, the narrative has shifted, and I think we need to go back to the basics. What was it started for? What led to it, and what efforts are being made to change that?
At first, they identified Colin Kaepernick as the person who initiated this, but he did, and his teammates backed him up. Other players in other clubs backed him up. That was in the 49ers, and apart from the game that he first nailed, the players now backed him up to continue kneeling in other subsequent games. Himself at some point was almost out of the team, didn't play a lot of games, which also brought the issue of being victimized as a result of initiating.
He voluntarily opted out of his own contract at that point.
Because they weren't willing to discuss it, to negotiate it. Nobody was featuring him because he was victimized generally, and he felt bad about it. So players continued to do that in support of him and the other blacks that he was fighting for.
That's true. That's very true. It's a complicated situation, but I still feel personally that I feel it's not unpatriotic for you to speak your mind. It's actually very patriotic for you to stand up for what you believe in, especially in the land that claims to be the home of the free and
something which can even paint the country in better light out to the world there. If these things are going on wrong within the country and nobody's talking about them, and then a group of guys, funny enough, he is black. He started with not only black guys to support. It became a movement that even the Indians, people of color, different
people, even on different continents across the Atlantic Ocean, joining in to support.
Well, we hope that they actually come to a meeting point where they will both agree and the NFL will return, because it was affected badly last season. They come back to what NFL
sales,
revenues dropped heavily. Funny enough, it's being celebrated in the government house that is Trump 1, NFL players 0. So the funny part of it is it coming out. Of course, they reminded Mike Pence, the vice president, that he also violated something that they considered an abuse of the country's national anthem.
I think it's also very ironic because Mike Pence was at the stadium where one of these kneeling protests went on, and during the national anthem, he actually stood up and left out of annoyance that the players were disrespecting.
That was his own protest as well.
Exactly. But then the irony is him walking out during the national anthem is also a disrespect.
All right, still in the States, of course, we had an issue in January that we briefly discussed, but the long months of the committee's investigation have come out, and one of the players there is a quarterback for the Milwaukee Bucks. His name is Sterling Brown, and he had an altercation with the police when he went to a supermarket to buy some things. He parked where special persons should have parked their vehicles, because according to him there wasn't sufficient parking space and there was nobody there, there was no vehicle there. He parked briefly so that he could dash in and get something, and the police on patrol stood there to give him a ticket for parking wrongly. But when he came, the police did not allow him access to his car, which he complained. Eventually, the matter went on and on. He resisted the arrest and resisted to be handcuffed. They had to like use a teaser on him, at a very great level to actually bring him down and handcuff him. Of course, they filed against that, and the Milwaukee police, after a thorough investigation, they came out to say the police officers were wrong, having reviewed the footage over and over, the body cameras that the police used. They reviewed it over and over, the conversations they had, and they realized that what they did was inappropriate and out of order. The police will face some disciplinary actions. But Sterling Brown is still thinking of pressing more charges through his lawyer. Just one of the things we are talking about, even though here, outrightly, he parked at the wrong place. It was just supposed to be a simple thing where he's given a ticket. He was fined $2,000, which is massive because of that, because the police wanted him, they wanted to press charges of refusing arrest and assaulting an officer. But the footage that they submitted did not show at any point when
he assaulted
them.
Made an attempt to assault an officer.
They took him down.
Arrest,
yes, so it's one of those things. But when it comes to these sports guys, sometimes put their head and knock sometimes too.
No, but then let's look at it this way. These things happen all the time, especially in the U.S.
Yes.
We have all these kind of unreported crimes against humanity, against immigrants, against black people, Hispanics, Chinese. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
We have these things all the time. But how many of it get reported? And I think the only reason why this story is gaining the traction that it is because Sterling Brown himself is a celebrity. He's a top flight. He's a first draft pick, a top flight athlete. If he was some regular guy or some regular Joe, I think the case would have probably been swept under the table. We wouldn't have heard it. So I think, yes, I am in support. At least some kind of example should be made, especially when it comes to the use of excessive force with law enforcement.
All right. This is Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM, redefining broadcasting, and this is The Stadium. My name is Ted. I'm here with Buchi. We're talking about sports. Don't get it wrong. All the things we're discussing have actually affected sportsmen and women, and of course, sports generally. That's why we're raising them. And of course, we will put the phone lines for you shortly for you to have your contributions. We're coming to the sports you want. Of course, this weekend is the Champions League. A lot is happening. We're preparing for the showdown. Will it be between Salah and Cristiano Ronaldo? Do not forget there's one other man there who has won 3 Champions League with Madrid, and he's willing to add the 4th on his thigh where there's a tattoo of the Champions League. His name is Marcelo. He's a die-hard player. If Salah overruns that wing, Marcelo will take the other direction, and a lot of things, anything could go on, of course, as well. So that is coming up on the program as well. But something has happened. And is quite interesting. But there are players that we do know that played very well when they were playing, and then along the line they retire and a lot of things go wrong. But one player who has not retired, who is looking to get a transfer to another club in Italy, has actually landed himself in some soup. Of course, you guys know him. He's a former player of one of the teams that is going for the Champions League this weekend. Pep Reina, former Liverpool goalkeeper, who is now the goalkeeper of Napoli there in Naples. But he has been invited by the Italian police to come and give evidence and testify, because they have discovered that he has very strong ties and links to the Italian mafia that even influences some match fixings.
Yes.
He lives a very exotic life, and is a tight friend to these families that control this mafia. And his friendship and acquaintance with them involves exchange of favors with the owners of Naples-based betting agency. And you know where that is heading to?
Yes.
Which means they can actually influence the outcome of games, because the profits
especially his position in being a goalkeeper.
A goalkeeper actively with a club. But Reina used to be look like a very cool keeper there with Liverpool. Even with Napoli, he's been outstanding, even though he has a younger keeper who benches him a lot of times. But then he has been good. Suddenly, Reina is being plopped. And then Cannavaro, also former Ballon d'Or winner, has also been invited, because he's also indicted in the same accusation. These are 2 world-class players.
Let's not forget the Italian, the scandal, the match rigging scandal that rocked the Serie A, Italian football, and
Juventus were at the forefront.
Antonio
Conte, your coach.
Yes, they were relegated. They were relegated. They paid
and
for
all
it.
the players went down together, stayed together. before we involved. I think 15 points were deducted.
15 points were deducted.
They were fined.
I mean, those are the days of Del Piero. Those are the days, you know, it happened. These things happen. And I think just because it happened doesn't mean it has stopped. It's still happening. Of course, they say a thief isn't a thief until he's caught. The crime is still there. It's just now this is another chapter in it where another person has been exposed. Now, it's unfortunate, especially when it comes to match fixing because of profits. And, you know, we forget about the spirit of the game. We forget about why we play the game. In
the first place.
And, you know, the spirit of competition. But now it's all about lining pockets. You know, it's big money. Football is big business and big money. And, of course, it's no surprise that the Italian mafia
will go all the way to get results in their favor.
Exactly.
The proceeds come to them.
The proceeds come in, influence the matches, you know, rig the games somehow so that they can always come out on top. It's unfortunate now that a player of his caliber, two players of this kind of caliber, are caught up in this kind of scandal. You know, there must be proof. For them to be indicted to this level, there is some sort of proof. I think it would be very interesting to see how this story plays out.
Yeah, we'll follow
we
it
can
up,
hear more and more about it.
To know the truth. Because he's staying with Napoli, Carlo Ancelotti, your former coach, Bushi, one big guy who coached a lot of big teams.
Big teams, won a lot of big trophies too.
Now he's with Napoli. They've unveiled him as their new coach. So we're waiting to see what happens there. But then, funny enough, Coach Sarri, after the exit from Napoli, might be heading the other way around to Chelsea based on rumors that are coming from even the Chelsea tabloids are in West London themselves, because Roman Abramovich is an admirer of Sarri's expensive style of football, and the rumors that are coming that Conte might go, despite the fact that he won the FA Cup, they might just bring Coach Sarri over to Chelsea. So it's like this a massive movement of coaches around.
Yeah, I mean, right now it just seems like we're not hearing about players being bought. We're hearing about coaches. I mean, Pellegrini moving over to West Ham. Sarri might come over to Chelsea, and even now Ancelotti over at Napoli. I mean, it's a very interesting time right now to see how, especially with these coaches, they all come with their own style, their own take, and their own pedigree. It'll be interesting to see how the dynamic of these teams and the game changes, and I think that's why we love the game of football so much.
We'll keep an eye on all these developments. But one development that has also come through is finally Iniesta, our icon, has officially moved to visit Kobe in the Japanese League. Japanese League. We heard this rumor over and over because the owner of that club is also the owner of the company that sponsors Barcelona's shirt. So the deal had been cooking in the pot, and now officially he says he's happy to move to his new home. Japan do have a very wonderful culture and respect, and he can't wait to settle down and continue. It was difficult for him, according to him, it was difficult for him to decide, but he wants to live and settle in Asia and understand the culture and the language. He's prepared for everything.
But I mean, the Asian market is a very big and competitive market right now. I mean, we had the big players moving over to China with the Chinese money, and it looks like Japan is throwing their hat into the ring, and bringing a big name like Iniesta might also be a leverage or link way to invite other big players to ply their trade all the way in the land of the rising sun.
Don't forget, that's what happened in the MLS when the likes of David Beckham started moving in.
Beckham moved over.
Big time players
Ibrahimovic recently, and now Rooney. You know.
So the competition in the market is getting interesting.
I mean, football is actually growing, and you know, it's very interesting to see that. You know, it's not, yes, if you want the tightest competition, it's Europe, but then of course you can also still enjoy other leagues around the world. We're talking about from Asia to, you know, Latin America to.
I wish we could get some of those players to come over to the
at some point, maybe MPFL will be buying a Cristiano Ronaldo to come and play for Kano Pillars.
It's not impossible.
It's not impossible. It's not impossible. Anything can happen.
There were midweek matches in the MPFL yesterday, of course. You are getting that victory against Tornadoes. But we'll give you details of all that in our tomorrow's bulletin on the stadium. Buchi?
Yes.
I'll open the phone lines now as we get into the mood of the Champions League proper. It's on Saturday, but everything has been boiling already.
Of course.
People came out to ask questions. If Ogabinu were here, I would have asked him if that is possible. If they were allowed Mane and Mohamed Salah, that they are observing their Ramadan and they will be getting on the pitch without having properly fed themselves through from dawn to dusk. Of course, the game will come up after probably fast has been broken.
No, fast would have been broken by then.
Yet it's too close to eat and get on the pitch within that period. You can only take liquids.
No, but
you can only be going on diet of tennis players. You know what I'm talking about.
No, but so, let's put it this way. These guys are professional players. It's not the first time they've been observing Ramadan and playing competitively. They're
in a game of that magnitude. Remember what happened to Egypt during one Nations Cup? Was it Nations Cup or one competition that? Yes,
I remember.
Yeah, all the players were a little bit weak because of that. And I'm thinking if it comes to this kind of games, they should even be probably be considered. People should be considered.
No. I mean, the truth is, it's all down to the person. It's you know, religious inclination is down to the person. Now, if you decide to participate, I mean, well, it is compulsory. It is compulsory for you to participate unless you're sick or pregnant. Yeah. Now, if you are doing this, I believe there are ways, especially, of course, there are ways you walk around it. I mean, these are not children. Yeah. It's not their first time fasting, and I'm pretty sure there are ways to work around it. They know how to do this thing. I don't think it's going to be an issue, especially on that day. I mean, you could break your fast, maybe down a protein shake. It doesn't have to be a heavy meal, but it does give you the
light enough to give you some energy.
It's light enough to give you the energy and also give you the push to go through. There are so many things. So I think it's a no-brainer. But like you said, I wish Ogaminu was here to give us. But then maybe our fans could call in and let us.
Yeah, that's what I want to find out now. Of course, what do you think? Would that affect Salah's performance in Saturday's game? The number to call is 080-33-22-1149. And Buchi, looking at the game, and the whole conversation has come out around what Marcelo brings to the team.
Yes.
The whole focus has been on Karim Benzema, Bale, and of course Cristiano Ronaldo, the king himself. But Marcelo is one guy who has been consistent.
Marcelo, Sergio Ramos.
Ramos is there, solid at the back.
Modric.
We are looking at what will happen on that wing where Marcelo pass up front, and then having Ronaldo and Kevin at the back there, putting a lot of pressure. Don't forget that Senio is there.
Of course,
guys who are like Liverpool do have their own squad, but if you match player to player, you know where the pendulum swings. But of course, this is a final.
This is a final, and it's not just. It doesn't come down to just. The skills of the player. It also comes down to determination. Yes. You know, the lords of football. I mean, upon this, just recently we saw the FA Cup final where everybody had put it in favor of Man U, but then it came down to the grit and just dumb luck on Chelsea's part and walking away. And you know, this is going to be one of those exciting finals, especially for the fact if you're a Liverpool fan. It's been a long time coming. We've seen how they struggled through, and also, I mean, if you're a Real Madrid fan, making it 3 crowns in a row. I mean, they're looking to break history and also to silence the critics for having a very shaky season. I mean, I think they finished third or fourth. I think they finished third or fourth in their league. They no silverware to speak of, and this is the final chance to walk away with something to justify the season. A really disappointing season by their standards.
Be a part of the conversation. Call us on 080-33-22-1149. But Russia is still bubbling already. Some countries have arrived. But back home here, we are heading to Port Harcourt to play DR Congo. And people are telling the players to play the game with a lot of ease and not care about the outcome of the game, the result, because of fear of injury. Diamond injury. We have had casualties already in some countries who are not going. The likes of Dani Alves, the likes of Chamberlain, who missed out towards the end of the season. They will not be going. So people are advising our players to take it easy when they play DR Congo. They have nothing to lose. Just be soft when you face the 3 Lions, maybe on a better turf and better conditions you could give in here. But former goalkeeper trainer of the Super Eagles, Ike Shiromo, has come out to say we should all rally around the 4 goalkeepers we have until the final selection is made. He also spoke about the fact that he had to wait in the wings on that Western half for long before he was able to hit it out to that Korea-Japan when he eventually got captain. So we should look at the keepers we have from Ezenwa to Francis Zoho, Dele Ajiboye and Danny Akbei. Thinks we have 4 goalkeepers and we're able to like select and get one out and then take the 3 that he thinks any of them is good enough to stand in between the sticks to face the likes of Argentina.
We're not just talking about Argentina, we're talking about Croatia.
That's a department we're being scared about. Well, network is acting up, but please keep trying, then we'll be able to pick your calls before we go on a break. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, Ted.
Good evening, welcome to the program.
Yeah, good evening, Buchi.
Good evening, welcome.
My name is D1.
The one and only.
D1.
Thank you very much. Yes. I heard you talking about Salah.
Yes.
I don't think that Ramadan will affect his play on Saturday against Real Madrid.
Okay.
He's a professional footballer, positive, and at the same time, they might have break the fasting before the match will start. And it's something that I can just, because of the Lawrence,
yes.
He might decide not to fast that day. I'm just insinuating because of the importance of the cup. He might decide to just excuse himself. But if that be the case and he eventually fast, I think you know what's at stake, and he will put all his efforts. He's a professional player and he's one of the best in the world as of today. You guys, you forgotten to tell people that Arsenal just signed one of the best coaches in the world.
Sure.
Yes.
We have actually had a conversation about that in our previous magazines. When he was unveiled, we did speak about it here. So I know you are praising him because. Do you want not to worry? Those clubs are signing their own coaches, and you will see what will happen at the beginning of the season.
Battle of the brand new coaches.
I believe the kind of coaches they are going to sign employ, they will be as good as Arsenal coach.
If he was that good, PSG would have kept him.
I was praying. I'm one of the people that fasted and prayed that they shouldn't employ Arteta.
Okay.
Because it's just as if you are going back to 1988.
Yeah.
He has employed Arteta.
All right, D1, thank you. We need to take a very short break, and then when we come back from the break, we'll continue. Give us some feedback on one or two things we want to clarify from you before you make it to the stadium next. That's a super reporter there, D1. But we'll take a very short break. It's time for prayers for our Muslim brothers and sisters. So pray for Nigeria, pray for good luck at the World Cup. Pray for everybody. We'll be right back. Stay with us. You are still tuned to Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM, redefining broadcasting, and you're listening to The Stadium. My name is Ted. I was with Buchibet. Something has overwhelmed him in the studio because, ladies and gentlemen, may I announce the presence and the arrival of the one and only Ajebo plus Paco, which is equal to Posh. The one and only Posh.
I decided to join sports today. I want to discuss, put mouth for inside the matter too.
Yes. No, there's just one small question I want to ask you before Paco leave you with the studio.
Me when I want to ask you question, you first me ask question.
Buchi go answer.
I'll go stay back answer. No worry.
Well, they ask now. Most of that will answer.
Okay, ask you. Me Buchi answer. Then me I go ask you answer so that it will be triangle.
Okay, make I ask Buchi go answer.
Then me I go ask you.
Now you dey in charge. Ask me when I answer. Who will come ask you?
By then, no time go don't reach.
Wait, Ted, before we go begin pack everything come up for inside studio. I hear say Arsenal don't get new coach.
Yes.
Not true?
Not true.
Asawenga picking.
No, he tried making grandson take over, but
his cousin's brother's nephew is the person that is coming now.
Wait to be name again. Because any IB, Ase must stay inside.
Almost. You know him as a Frenchman, he made sure that he did not influence the decision of the board without influencing it by influencing it. So he left. He packed out of England and said he was leaving. He was taking a break for a while. He decided to. Maybe he recommended though.
Who pack for a while?
Wenger, yeah, he don't pack. Come out now.
Rest. See that man.
So, maybe he needs to eat some original okpa. Maybe that will help him. That's
or just
I recommend that on my side now.
That kind of thing.
Any business, I don't tell you, I don't change. I don't want to change business, but I don't change the pattern of cooking. Wanna know why?
Why?
Rainy season.
Of course.
So you know if you cook outside.
My firewood.
Okay.
So I get plans for that one. I ain't go like that is because you know so people they like firewood.
You know say
in
the Frenchman you go put egg, you go put frog, you go put
yes.
Inside.
Oh na neko. Who say you
and some raw crickets. Makes sense.
My business for me.
Talking about that, Posh, if you all recommend a very good meat to athletes where they go World Cup for Russia, because when they go to Russia, I not say Russian diet, he gets as to be. We want to ask Chef Fatima, but the day she go come.
Ask me, my on board now.
So you go export them through the embassy or how you go take
I don't need to export them. I go travel, not to do my legs.
Imagine a chef but they walk around Moscow with okpa for head.
If you be Nigerian and buy okpa from home.
You dey hawk and night they can make brain pass.
No food for lazy man.
I can tell you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the science of the program. Of course, you heard the Posh lady herself. He's taking over the mic next as we get out of the studio. But thanks for making it this evening.
Thank you.
And then we'll be here again tomorrow. The stadium returns. But don't go anywhere. Keep tuned to the station because the Posh lady herself is in the studio and she rides on from here with your favorite programs. Not just programs.
You don't tell me thank you. Now only Buchi thank you.
No, I'm
not sit down here tomorrow.
No, wait. I never finished now.
Okay.
I want to sign off from that side there. I will come. When I'm off the mic, I will tell you thank you. That Unfortunately, thanks for coming in a very glamorous way.
Thank you.
I didn't know that people that sell up wear this type of gown, but it's okay.
When
I go say, I'm gonna go online, download the Human Rights Radio app if you want to see what the Posh lady is wearing, or go to YouTube, or go to our 3 Facebook pages.
Today, now they celebrate my Thank God on Friday. Start Thank God on Thursday.
So you know they no get business
carry over to Friday.
Say I carry over. You two supposed to join the business. When I join, I don't know how I like this because I'm my colleague.
We'll go reason about. All right, guys, that's the size of the program until tomorrow evening. But don't tune away from Human Rights Radio because the rest of the programs for the evening are classic, up to heartbeat that if your heart is beating, you're going to hear it tonight. You understand why your heart is beating faster or slower. So if you want to know, stay tuned. And of course, a repeat of some of our programs this night. That's what we do here. Because you are there, that's the reason why we're here. Without you, we have no business being here. Till see you again. Good night.